Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at the Amex has just got underway. Brighton and Hove Albion in 7th, taking on Brentford in 8th place. And as I said in the preview to this game, it's pretty much the two surprise packages of the Premier League this season. Both Brighton and Brentford probably in a higher league position than they would have been hoping for at the start of the season. But both of these sides have played some excellent football at times this season. Brentford, particularly at home, have been a very difficult side to beat. And Brighton, you've got to say, having lost their talismanic manager, Graham Potter, have done very well since Roberto De Zerbi has taken over. So we're hoping this should be a good game. It's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Aiden Perkins taking you through the action. And Aiden, as I say, hopefully these should be two good footballing sides trying to get the ball down and playing.
Yeah, I think so. When you look at the league positions, Paul, like you say, both teams, in the hunt for a surprise top 6 finish this season. There's the carrot as well of Liverpool's defeat to Manchester City earlier in the day. That means that both Brentford and Brighton are above Liverpool if they get a point today. So, a draw for both sides as well might not be seen as a bad result. But I think the way they've both played this year, we expect some good attacking football and plenty of chances and hopefully some goals.
Absolutely, yes. Fulham have been a very difficult side to beat in recent times. Just the one draw out of their last 5 games, winning their other 3. Although, in fairness, they did have games against lower league opposition in the Cup in that time as well. Brighton, of course, beating Grimsby in the last round, and they will meet Manchester United in the FA Cup semi-final later on in April. But 2 minutes on the clock here. It is Brighton in possession, trying to get forward. A long ball over the top. Dealt with by returning Brentford counted Pontus Jansson, but the loose ball is picked up here by Mitoma. He breaks into the penalty area. He's about to pull the trigger there, but Aaron Hickey was able to dispossess him. Hickey trying to play out from the back is dispossessed straight away there by Caicedo. Brighton still trying to keep the attack alive, and now it's eventually won back here by Norgard and cleared by Pontus Jansson up towards Ivan Toney, but he wasn't able to control. Just to remind you very quickly, Jason Steele starts for Brighton this afternoon in goal. Back four of Joel Veltman, Lewis Dunk, Levi Colwill and Pervis Estupinan. It's Pascal Gross and Moises Caicedo as the two holder midfielders, with Solly March, Alexis McAllister and Kaoru Mitoma as the attacking 3 playing behind Danny Welbeck. I'll do the Brentford side in just a moment because Brighton are on the attack here down the right-hand side. It's Veltman's ball into the box, which is charged down by me, and then he gets the ball back from Henry, I should say, and clears that one down the left-hand side. For Brentford, it is David Raya in goal, a back 3 of Pontus Jansson, Ethan Pinnock and Ben Mee. The 2 wide men are Aaron Hickey and Rico Henry. 3 in midfield, Mathias Jensen, Christian Norgard and Mikkel Damsgaard, with Bryan Mbeumo and Ivan Toney as the 2 up front. Plenty going on at 3 o'clock this afternoon. If any of the other games get a goal, that's Arsenal Leeds, Bournemouth Fulham, Palace against Leicester, or Forest against Wolves, we will let you know as well. In the meantime, it is over on the right-hand side here now with Solly March. Just under a bit of pressure, having to go back towards the edge of his own penalty area. Interesting one, really, as we see now Jason Steele on the ball. Robert Sanchez is on the bench, so it just seems like it's a rotation of the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't talk of this change before the game, was there? I don't think, Paul. Usually goalkeepers get changed because of injury or suspension or whatever, and it seems like a bit of a strange one. But yeah, he's obviously De Zerbi opted for that change, and Steele's a good experienced player to come in, but it's a little bit of a surprise one for me before kick-off, I must admit. Yeah,
it certainly means that Sanchez, who's been very solid for Brighton this season, on the bench this afternoon, still getting the start, but Brighton now with a chance to get forward as Welbeck just leaves that ball, and it's all of a sudden played through to Mitoma, and he charges into the penalty, is about to get a shot away. That's a good challenge coming in. I think it's Ethan Pinnock, the Jamaican international, that gets the final touch, but that wasn't a particularly inventive attack from Brentford. It was just a ball left by Welbeck for Estupinan, and Brentford were carved open there.
Yeah, I don't quite know what happened there with the Brentford defence, because it was just wide open, wasn't it? And as you say, 2 quick passes and they're through. Mitoma, we know all about him with his pace. I think he's just about to pull the trigger. You have to say it's a fantastic sliding challenge by Pinnock. Really, really good defending. Got the right side of the defender, and it stopped at what would have been a certain goal.
Absolutely, and it's still not away here for Brentford. Brighton still have this corner kick now on the left-hand side. Plenty of players to aim for inside the penalty area. Welbeck trying to make a nuisance of himself inside the 6-yard box. Our referee Michael Oliver just having to keep an eye on all of that. It's going to be Pascal Gross to take this corner from the from the left-hand side, I should say. It's going to be an in-swinger from the German, heading towards the edge of the 6-yard box. It's headed up in the air. I think that came off Aaron Hickey. Second attempt headed there from Rico Henry. Brentford still haven't got away with it until eventually Ben Mee tries to hook it. He still can't get any distance on it. It's bouncing around inside that box, and it eventually breaks through to Solly March. I think there's been a free kick given in Brentford's favour after all of that. But, I mean, normally you criticise a team for letting the ball bounce once or twice in the box. I think it bounced about 5 times there.
Yeah, it looked like a comedy of errors, didn't it, really, back there? Brentford just couldn't get anything on it properly, and when you expect Ben Mee to hack it away, he then spins it back into the danger zone. There was just maybe a hint for a second as well that there might have been a foul in there and possibly a penalty to Brighton. It never was, but if the player goes down, then maybe there might have been deemed as contact, but in the end I think there probably was just a free kick in Brentford's favour, and it was the right decision. Yeah,
but Brentford will breathe a sigh of relief there, because certainly the counter-attack that led to the corner and then the corner kick itself, Brentford looked a little bit dodgy in defence, to say the least, and then the resulting free kick, that one sliced straight out for a Brighton throw as well. So it's a bit of a nervy start here from the visitors. In the first 6 minutes, Brighton with the throw down the left. Estepinen gets it in towards Gross. Bit of pressure here for Veltman from Rico Henry, having to turn away from trouble. Plays it back towards the edge of the area now for Levi Colwill. And he plays it forward, taken down there by Gross. That's really good play to find Welbeck. Referee did play an advantage, because it looked like there might have been a bit of a foul there on Alexis McAllister. It was Norgard that bumped into him. Referee did try to play an advantage, but there was none. So the free kick now going straight back to Brighton. You can see that, yeah, it was just caused actually Janssen bumping into Alexis McAllister there.
Stern challenge, isn't it, actually, from Janssen. McAllister, I don't think he was aware that Janssen was going to come in, and he was just trying to control the ball, and Janssen comes in. And one of them that I think, the referee had to give, but good sort of early marker, really, in midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Pontus Jansson, he's been out injured for a while. He's been on the bench for the last 6 or 7 games. I'll just break off from that, because Brentford win the ball back there in midfield. Brighton just guilty of dawdling with it a little bit. It spins into the path of Mathias Jensen, but he loses that to Solly March. Brentford working to try and win this back here on the left-hand side. March deflecting that ball off Mathias Jensen, and it's out for a throw. I'm not quite sure what Jensen is complaining about towards the referee there. I think he felt as though he might have been pushed in the initial build-up to that one. But it's actually the first time that Janssen's played in a team with Pinnock and Mee all at the same time. He's been out for such a long time now that not had really much of an opportunity to form a partnership with either of those two players. So the fact that all 3 of them are in the 11 today is something different for Brentford. But the ball going over the right-hand side now, one for Rico Henry to have to get to. And again, just a little bit of confusion there in that Brentford defence. Pinnock and Henry getting in each other's way and giving away a corner that didn't have to be given away at all.
Yeah, did it deflect? The attempted clearance, Pinnock deflects off his own player, doesn't it? They both go for the same ball. It's poor defending again from Brentford. They haven't started defensively so far, Brentford. They don't look that switched on, apart from that one good challenge from Pinnock. And Brighton might sense an early goal here. They might sense a bit of uncertainty in the Brentford backline, and another corner for Brentford to try and deal with.
Yeah, I mean, I say Pinnock and Henry, they could both see each other. They could see they were both going for the same ball, and they somehow managed to deflect the ball off each other and out for a corner. It's going to be an outswinger from Gross from the right-hand side this time, heading towards the edge of the 6-yard box. Header up in the air from Pontus Jansson. Second header, it's heading towards goal. It was Joel Veltman, but he didn't get too much power behind that. And Raya quite happy to claim that. He wants to clear it quickly. And he did try to clear it quickly. The referee, I think, waited for an advantage because he felt as though there might have been a foul on the Brentford keeper. And I think it has been given as a free kick in the end.
It was just closed down, wasn't it, as he went to release it. I think the goalkeeper needs to be given a little bit more space than that. Although it is out of his hands, Welbeck is not too far away. I mean, he got the kick away, and actually Tony controlled it, didn't he? So, I mean, he could have possibly played on there, really.
I think so, yeah. I mean, it's an interesting one as far as Raya is concerned. He's turned down 2 contract offers from Brentford over the past season. And there's every chance that he's probably going to leave in the summer because his contract does expire at the end of next season. So
talk of Manchester United, isn't there? I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's certainly heard enough rumours. He's got the most saves in the Premier League this season. He was solid for Brentford in their first Premier League season last year as well. And of course, he's been called up to the Spain national squad. So there's every chance that Brentford will struggle to hold on to him. But the Bees now trying to push forward, get some sort of attack going. It's Henry finding Mbeumo, left-hand edge of the penalty, tries to get the ball back to Rico Henry. But that's not quite clever enough there for Lewis Dunk. He could see that was coming and is able to stop that ball, clears it out for a throw. It's Brentford in possession now down the left-hand side. And with a throw on within reach of the penalty area, you can expect Mathias Jensen to try and launch this one into the box. He's got a few players to aim for inside the penalty area. We'll see if the rest of the tall defenders are going to come up for this one. No, Jensen just choosing a short throw this time to Mbeumo. Danish international gets it back, puts a cross in, and what a header that is from Pontus Jansson. He comes from absolutely nowhere, and the ball whipped into him, and the returning Bees club captain with a bullet header into the back of the net. 10 minutes gone. Brentford, with their first moment of attack, take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, you have to say it's been Brighton who've been in the ascendancy in the first 10 minutes. First real opportunity for Brentford. Not closed down from the cross. Lovely ball in. He gets in front of the defender. Brilliant header. And Janssen has given Brentford what is a lead against the run of play, but it's a really, really well-worked goal.
Well, completely against the run of play. It's the visitors that take the lead at the Amex. Brighton 0, Brentford 1. Brentford winning a throw down the left-hand side. Jensen just took a short throw to Rico Henry. He got the ball straight back from Henry, then whipped it into the penalty area for Pontus Jansson, the returning Bees club captain, with a bullet header past Brighton keeper Jason Steele and into the back of the net. It really is against the run of play. Brighton have had a couple of half chances already. They've had a couple of corners. Brentford have looked a little bit suspect in defence in dealing with those set pieces, but it's now Brentford who lead. Brighton 0, Brentford 1.
Yeah, just looking back on the goal as well, it was a fantastic header. Yeah, you have to say a little bit that maybe the Brighton defence were caught napping, but Janssen got in front of his man superbly. Brilliant ball in from Henry. It wasn't closed down. Cross into the... it wasn't even into the near post. It was a central ball in, and Brentford are coming again here, Paul, as it's flicked through on the edge of the penalty area. Oh, a little bit of confusion.
Well, that's a back pass, surely. That must be. I think the ball's rolled back to Jason Steele, and that is a back pass. You don't see many of those these days, but the referee has indicated that, and Brentford are going to get themselves, well, this is a collector's item, an indirect free kick. You don't see many of those these days.
You know, when the law was changed in the 90s, you used to see them quite a bit.
All the time,
yeah. And I can't remember the last football match I watched when I saw a back pass.
Well, the thing is, I've seen a few that haven't been given. I think the
You're
referee
probably watching more than me.
Well, I think it's to do with the fact that now any kind of deflection just isn't given. It has to be a direct pass straight at the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think it was. In fairness,
it was
the right decision.
You can see there Roberto De Serbi breaking the equipment outside his technical area there, grabbing the monitor in front of the bench there, because this is a real great chance now for Brentford. And as you say, we don't see many of these anymore. I think when they first introduced the law, it was the big old keeper that was just used to picking the ball up, and suddenly he's got to hoof it all the time, and they didn't fancy it at all. But now, of course, goalkeepers are expected to be like outfield players with gloves on, so you don't see that too often. They're more likely to just be tackled with the ball when they're trying to clear it.
It's brilliant to see this, though, because it always takes a while to set up, doesn't it? Because the defenders are trying to get back. Are they all 10 yards? Who's going to touch it to him? Do you just blast it? Do you roll it? What do you do? You've got to go for a blast.
I think it's going to be Toney just touching it onto Mathias Jensen. That seems to be what they're setting up for here.
He's got to go high.
He's going to have to try and roof this if he can. Jensen, it's touched onto him. He smashes it into a whole wall of players. It's charged down. A loose ball here reaches Mbeumo, and eventually Brighton are able to deal with that. And now it's Danny Welbeck trying to start a quick counter-attack. Plays that through the middle, and eventually having to play it back towards the edge of their own penalty area. But a rare indirect free kick survived there by Brighton, and then a long ball down the right here for March, but he can't keep it in play.
When we do see them, it is often that happens, isn't it? It's almost that sort of cliche of being too close in, isn't it? And where, you know, they get charged down so quickly that he just couldn't get the shot away. It is a back pass. It was the right decision. He has to get there. I mean, I would have been tempted if I'm Toney or Brentford there. Don't lay it to the side. Lay it back. Stand behind the ball, because you're that close in anyway. If he plays it back, it gives them that little bit further to run. It just makes sense for me. If he stands behind the ball, they can't see it as well. Lay it back, get out of the way, hit it as hard and as high, as powerful as you can. Okay, you might risk it then flying over the bar, but I think that's the thing to do. Don't play it to the side, because everyone can see what you're doing there.
I think the sad thing is, for both me and you, Aiden, is that some of the players on that pitch are probably too young to remember when that rule was first introduced as well.
It's probably not the sort of thing that teams practice at all.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. It is something that isn't. I mean, it's been a while since we've seen any of those indirect free kicks inside the box in the Premier League. But as I say, Brighton survive it. But coming up to 15 minutes gone, Brentford still lead by a goal to nil, and it's in fact the only goal we've seen in the Premier League so far in the 3 o'clock kickoffs. As Brighton win the ball back here in midfield, it's played back towards Lewis Dunk. Quick ball down the right here now for Solly March. He wanted to play it over the top, but Brentford are playing quite a high offside line, so Brighton just keep possession here down the right. Veltman back in towards March. And in towards Levi Colwill, who's getting more game time for Brighton in the last few months. Lovely bit of play there between McAllister and Gross to get the ball into Welbeck. It's charged down at the edge of the area, but it still gets through towards Solly March. March taking on Henry and puts the ball into the 6-yard box, which is stopped, and it's played back into the 6-yard box, cleared away towards the edge of the area. Veltman with the strike. It gets a deflection, which almost goes into the path of Mitoma, but then it deflects away, and it's away for a corner. And it's almost like after a couple of minutes of Brentford having their goal and their free kick, it's back to normal now with Brighton attacking again.
Yeah, and you know, it has been Brighton on the front foot, like you said. I mean, nearly for Welbeck there. If he gets a touch on that at the near post, it's going to be 1-1. It's a really good challenge that comes in on him, to be fair to him. But what a good start to the game, Paul. I mean, you said before that you expect attacking football and plenty of goals. I was a little bit worried that this might be a game where they might cancel each other out, and a draw's good for both sides, so we might be a bit of a cagey game. But it's been the opposite of that, and it's been quite as you predicted, really.
Well, with the visitors scoring first, it just opens up Brighton that little bit more. The corner kick comes in. Raya gets a half-decent punch to it. He gets it to the edge of the area. Toney then trying to bring the ball out, but he runs straight into Moises Caicedo. That's a really good challenge. And then he tries to get the ball back from Solly March, deflected away and out for another corner kick, as we have another goal to tell you about in the Premier League. It's Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1, and it's Andreas Pereira with the goal for Fulham, which is a big goal for Fulham, also potentially a big goal conceded there for a Bournemouth. They've got to start getting points from somewhere of the Cherries, and Brighton in this game have got their 4th corner kick already, and it's going to be an in-swinger from the left foot of Solly March. Plenty of players to aim for inside the penalty area. The linesman just unhappy about something there at the edge of the 6-yard box, but the corner kick taken short now between Gross and March. March gets it back and then puts a bit of whip on it towards the back post. It's headed up in the air, still inside the Brentford penalty area. It was dropping towards Norgard. He couldn't get a clearance, and then bounces up in the air, and a very happy David Raya can just jump on that one.
Yeah, there's a Brentford player down injured again, isn't there? Here with
Jansen, yeah.
Jansen, who's holding his head. He did just catch it a knock as the ball came back in. We've seen quite a bit of this early on. I was expecting a game with quite a bit of good football. It hasn't actually been like that so far, has it? And the goal for Brentford was well worked. But we've seen corners from Brighton. Balls bouncing around the penalty area, high balls in. It's almost been a little bit of a throwback in the first 15-20 minutes.
It has been, yeah. I think we're both surprised at how the game has gone so far. Just to tell you, there's been a VAR review at the vitality between Bournemouth and Fulham, so potentially that goal for Fulham may still not stand, as we're getting another replay of that indirect free kick there from Mathias Jensen. He smashes that towards... I think it might have been a combination of the goalkeeper and Mitoma that get the final block in.
Are they trying to suggest that maybe it comes off Mitoma's arm? But I think it's too close, isn't it?
I think it is too close.
There's no chance it would ever have been a penalty.
Although, saying that, doing commentary of the game between City and RB Leipzig a few weeks ago, when I saw that first penalty given, I mean, I thought, well, if they're going to give that, then any touch of the hand on the ball is always going to be a penalty after that. But you can see a very frustrated Roberto De Zerbi there, just sat on the Brighton bench right now. I think he'll be getting frustrated because the game's just been held up now while the Bees captain Pontus Jansson gets checked over. But he's back on his feet, just being told to do what he always has to do, which is to get off the field. We can see that the live table shows Brentford jumping to 6th place if the results stay as they are. And potentially Brentford only 4 points off a Champions League place with the same number of games played as Tottenham. So, as I say, it's dizzying heights for the smallest of the London Premier League clubs, I think it has to be said. But drop ball now, ball given back towards David Raya. But as I say, let's not speak too soon. The way that Brighton have approached this game, I would not be at all surprised if there's going to be more goals in this game this afternoon. Brighton have been close already, and Brentford have looked just a little bit nervous when they've had to work in defence. But it's a long clearance from Raya. One back immediately by Caicedo, and then Veltman playing it back to Steele. Steele gets a decent distance, so it wasn't a particularly high clearance, but it does reach the halfway line. And Gross can bring the ball out for Brighton, gets it over towards the right-hand side for Solly March, breaking into the penalty area. He wants it on that left foot. March gets a left-footed strike away. Oh, that could have taken a deflection and really wrong-footed Raya, but it's into the arms of the goalkeeper, makes a decent save.
Do you know what, Paul? I think it did take a slight deflection, didn't it? Well, let's look at it again. March cuts in on his left.
It does, yeah.
It comes off me, is it?
It does come off me, you're right.
Sort of almost the thigh of me as he's backing away, trying to defend. And it's one of them that we see so often that then does creep into the bottom corner, but the goalkeeper does really well.
He actually almost straightened the ball out a little bit on that occasion. It actually did help him a little bit. Might have taken a slight bit of the sting out of it as well. But in the meantime, Brentford have been awarded a free kick. I think it was Hickey just being blocked there by Mitoma. So Brentford playing this one back towards the goalkeeper. It was Jansen, who's back on the field and everything looking okay with the Bees captain, Ben Mee, just running straight into Solly March down the Brentford left. Out for a throw to the visitors. As I say, that goal for Fulham, by the way, was given in the end after a VAR review, so they're the only two goals we've seen so far. Bournemouth trailing at home to, in fact, we could say is a bit of a mirror image. It's two South Coast teams trailing to two West London teams so far in the Premier League this afternoon. As Brentford now pushing forward here with Jensen. He's stopped in his tracks and the ball almost deflected into the path of Mbeumo. But that's easy there for Veltman going back towards his own goalkeeper. 20 minutes gone. Unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary. Brighton 0, Brentford 1. And still to come later this evening, we've got Chelsea against Aston Villa, but still with a great ball over the top. And where have the Brentford defence gone? It's Mitoma with a fantastic lob over the goalkeeper. And on 21 minutes, Brighton have equalised. I mean, he was saying that it's gone a little bit old school, a little bit Route 1. Well, that's about as Route 1 as it gets. A clearance from Jason Steele cuts through 2/3 of the pitch, gets through to Mitoma, who just lifts it over the goalkeeper. And if Steele was a bit nervous after that back pass he picked up, he's got an assist now. It's 1-1.
You can't say that Brentford weren't warm, because it was a simple ball up over the top earlier on that caught Brentford out, and Mitoma was in a similar position then. On that occasion, the Brentford defence were able to get back at him, but the Brentford defence are just sleeping here. It's a simple ball. It's almost Route 1 Sunday League football. Steele with a perfect pass, and then Mitoma guides it. The goalkeeper, I don't think, covers himself in glory, but what else can he do necessarily? He's got to come out and close the angle down. Mitoma, lovely first-time finish, lobs the keeper. 1-1. What a game.
Well, we've got an equaliser at the Amex, and Brighton will say this is very much deserved. They've had pretty much all the attacking possession, barring that moment when Brentford scored. And you've got to say it's one of the easiest goals that Brighton are going to score this season. It's goalkeeper Jason Steele blasting a long ball over the top from the edge of his own penalty area. It found Kaoru Mitoma at the edge of the Brentford box. The Brentford defence just completely went missing. And Mitoma with a lovely lob over the keeper. Raya came out maybe a little bit too quickly, but he didn't have a choice. He had to try and do something to stop the attack. And it's Mitoma's ball into the back of the net. 21 minutes gone. It's Brighton 1, Brentford 1.
Yeah, Mitoma's been one of the breakout players of the Premier League season, certainly in the second half. But Brentford come again, and it's 2-1.
Oh, goodness me, what a response this is. Brentford have got a back in front here within 30 seconds, and it's Ivan Toney. That man again getting a goal for Brentford. We're going to have to see the replay, because the TV pictures we're getting were still showing us the replay of the Brighton goal. We're suddenly back to live pictures, and Brentford are 2-1 up.
Yeah, they work it well, ball played in, and Toney couldn't miss. I don't think the Brighton defence have covered themselves in glory there at all either. Just a little bit like the way the Brentford defence was opened up before. It's a throw-in from Brighton where it comes from. A good header in field. One quick pass and Toney's in. It's Mbeumo and Toney combining. And he couldn't miss really, Paul. Lovely finish. 2-1. What a start to this match.
Well, no sooner had we finished giving you an update to make it 1-1 between Brighton and Brentford. Brentford have retaken the lead. Brighton with the throw at the edge of their own penalty area. Brentford pressing high up the field, winning the ball back, and then Mbeumo then finding Ivan Toney inside the penalty area. Far too much space for the Brentford front man, and he celebrates his first England cap with the first goal back for Brentford here. So within 30 seconds of conceding for 1-1, Brentford are back in front. It's Brighton 1, Brentford 2.
Well, it's been an action-packed, brilliant first 23 minutes, 3 goals. I mean, you have to say Brighton have been the side who've been doing most of the attacking and have had probably the better of the game, but Brentford have been ruthless with the 2 opportunities that have come their way. They did have another one from that free kick that was closed down as well, but it's been hectic. It's been superb entertainment so far. Toney just getting onto the end of the Mbeumo pass, and he slots it into the corner. He's a confident player. He's having a fantastic season.
He is.
Ivan Toney.
Yeah, he really is. And Brentford will certainly miss him. He is going to be missing at some point, of course, once his ban kicks in. But for the time being, he's really enjoying himself. And we're really enjoying ourselves. We're past the halfway mark here. It's Brighton 1, Brentford 2. And it's Aiden to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. What an entertaining first quarter of the match. We've seen Brentford racing into the lead inside, well, just on about the first 10 minutes. With Janssen's header, and then Brighton equalising through Mitoma on 21, and then just about a minute or so ago, Brentford go 2-1 up thanks to Ivan Toney. And here come the Bees again down this left-hand side, and it's Rico Henry who just controls it just on the edge of the left of the penalty area. He goes back to Mee, and Mee infield to Norgard. Then there was a foul in there on the Brentford number 6 by Moises Caicedo, I should say. And it will be a Brentford free kick. Are we just going to get a little bit of respite and a little bit of time to breathe?
I think from Brighton's point, I mean, that's a petulant foul there from Caicedo. I mean, he is a physical player, but it might just be a sort of a window into how Brighton are feeling right now, because they're probably thinking that we've come out against a Brentford team that have shown themselves to be quite open in defence. We've had all the possession, and yet we're somehow 2-1 down. And I think Brighton have just got to try and stick to what they're doing, because when they get into attacking possession, they put Brentford under pressure.
It has the feeling of a game that anything can happen in, and it's been that case so far, as Henry just tries to control the ball down the left-hand side, but he's robbed of possession. But then Brentford win it back in midfield with Jensen. The ball actually hits the referee, and the referee is supposed to stop play when the ball hits him, but he's allowed play to go on. Maybe it was because Brighton had possession, I don't know.
I think that the hand gesture from Michael Oliver tells me that he's saying that Brentford were going to lose the ball anyway. That's what, because Brentford were in possession, the ball was played across, but I think he's suggesting that Brighton were winning the ball anyway, so he gave them the advantage and said play on. But in the end, the free kick is given for Norgard just holding on to Danny Welbeck as he tried to get to the ball there. But as I say, from Brentford's point of view, they've been accused of it by quite a few teams of being a little bit slow to restart play, a little bit of gamesmanship, and this is a time when maybe Brentford need to employ a bit of that, because it could really frustrate Brighton then.
Yeah, 25 minutes gone. Brighton 0, Brentford 1. Two teams both hoping for a top 6 finish, and what would have been deemed an unlikely top 6 finish before the ball had been kicked. We've got a stoppage in play here because one of the Brentford players is down injured again, Paul. It's just gone a little bit stop-start in the last few minutes. Didn't quite see the incident there. Is it Norgard again who's down?
It looks like he's the one. I mean, there's certainly, you can see De Zerbi's are very unhappy about all of this as well. We'll see. It's Norgard. He just gets trodden on there by McAllister. I don't think there's any intent there from the Argentine, but straight away you can see De Zerbi really unhappy. They're telling Norgard to get up, then turning around to our fourth official to register his frustration about it. It's Mr. Doherty who's our fourth official today.
He kind of jumps into the challenge a little bit, but it's not a jump as in a launch. He just kind of like sort of steps a little bit with almost like a little bounce with his 2 feet. It's not like a 2-foot challenge, I'm not saying that, but he just kind of sort of motions to maybe going a little bit there, McAllister, and I think it is a foul, but I don't think it's any more than that.
So free kick given here to Brentford. 27 minutes gone. It's a long ball now from me down the left-hand side.
Yeah, me with the ball to Henry. Henry can't get on the end of it, and Brighton managed to pick it up. It'll be a Brighton throwing down the right, taken quickly by March, who goes back to Veltman, and Veltman across to Lewis Dunk. The other scores in the Premier League so far, then the only other game in the 3 o'clocks that has a goal is Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1, Arsenal 0, Leeds 0, Palace 0, Leicester 0, and Forest 0, Wolves 0. It's Chelsea Villa at 5:30. The early game in the Premier League finished Manchester City 4, Liverpool 1. So City back in pursuit, or always in pursuit of Arsenal, but closer to Arsenal at the top. Can Arsenal respond this afternoon? Here come Brighton down the right-hand side, and it's Solly March with a crossing that's cleared away at the edge of the 6-yard box by me. Comes back out to March. March teases across towards the back post to Danny Welbeck, who heads it down and heads it in. And we've got another goal. Unbelievable start to this game. Great ball in from Solly March down the right. Again, you have to say, not great defending from Brentford. Welbeck does brilliantly to head it down and head it in. It's Brighton 2, Brentford 2.
Well, to say it's not great defending is being very diplomatic there. I mean, there's just no defending there from Brentford whatsoever. It just seems like a ball hoisted towards the back post. And before you know it, the visitors have conceded a second time. We've got our 4th goal inside 28 minutes of this game. And we'll just see again as this ball is at the edge of the area on the right-hand side. March dropping a shoulder, getting away from Jensen, lifting it to the back post. I mean, nobody's on Danny Welbeck. Nobody's on him at all. And it's all far too easy for Danny Welbeck to get his goal. And so we have another equaliser here at the Amex. Less than half an hour on the clock. We've already got our 4th goal. It's Brighton 2, Brentford 2. And it's more comedy defending from Brentford, it has to be said. As Brighton were pushing down the right-hand side, the ball got through towards Solly March. And he lifted across towards the back post where Danny Welbeck jumped completely on his own. Nobody trying to stop him from just a couple of yards. Welbeck nods it in past the helpless David Raya. And it really is game on here at the Amex. It's Brighton 2, Brentford 2.
And we haven't even played half an hour. It's one of those games that when every time a team comes forward that looks like we might get a goal, it really is pure entertainment. The defending is, well, to leave a lot to be desired, it has to be said. But the attacking play is very good. March did really well for that second equaliser for Brighton down the right-hand side. He probably got a little bit too much space, but his first cross was blocked. It comes back out to him, and then he stands across up to the back post. Welbeck with the perfect striker's header downward that the goalkeeper couldn't do anything about. and the Brentford defence were standing and watching and not marking Welbeck, like Paul said, but it is still a good header and it is a well-worked goal. What a brilliant, entertaining first half an hour we've had. The two managers aren't going to be happy, I don't think, Paul.
No, managers rarely are happy in games that we as fans find most entertaining, because it's just games where they tear their hair out. As Brighton give the ball away far too easily, and Ivan Toney, perhaps believing his own hype there a little bit too much, he wanted to launch that from 50 yards towards goal. He could have looked for a pass to Mbeumo, but he slipped as he took his shot, and Brighton have it back.
Yeah, in keeping with the nature of the game, though, Brighton gave it away, presented the ball to Toney, and it wouldn't have surprised me the way this game has gone if that had landed in the back of the net. As it was, he slipped. But here come Brighton again, looking for a third goal, in towards the penalty area. Welbeck's involved again. He just turns on the ball, but then it runs away from him as Raya comes out and gathers, and is able to just about quell that particular Brighton attack. But it's well worked from the home side down the right side. You can see what Welbeck's trying to do. He's just trying to turn round Jansen there. Just doesn't quite get it right.
I'm just wondering, from Brentford's point of view, because Christopher Aya and Pontus Jansson have been injured for long spells this season, Brentford have hardly played any games this season with a back three, and I'm just wondering if that's affecting them somehow, because Brentford aren't famous for being sort of watertight in defence, but what they're doing in this game is it's far too easy for Brighton at times.
Yeah, they do look very open, you have to say. I have also been impressed with some of Brighton's football in and around the edge of the penalty area, but to be brutally honest, they haven't had to actually work that hard to fashion the chances. That for me has been that Brentford's defending has been, well, for a better phrase, a little bit all over the place in this first half an hour. But I'm sure they will begin to settle down and get going. And maybe it is a case of the fact that they haven't been that familiar with each other at the back there, and they will improve as the match has gone on. We've played 31 minutes. We've barely had our chance to draw a breath in this match. There's a late challenge there, actually. We're seeing the replay of it from Mitoma on one of the Brentford players down there on the left-hand side. Was it Hickey, Paul?
It was Hickey that was caught late there. Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, the camera focused on Mitoma, but I didn't see any display of a yellow, so it may well be that he's just had a warning from the referee there. But this free kick for Brentford, it's about 45 yards out. And Brighton have set up at the edge of the area with their offside, so a good ball in from Jensen could put some pressure on the home side here.
Yeah, it's about nearly halfway inside the Brighton half, but it's certainly not a shooting opportunity. It'll be a ball delivered in towards the edge of the penalty area. As Jensen it is, in fact the opposite play it's short, so he catches me out as well. It's then now hooked in towards the right hand side of the penalty area, but a poor ball aimed up towards where Damsgaard had got furthest forward. It goes out of play, throw.
That's a poor free kick from Brentford. I mean, apart from the fact it was a poor ball from Mbeumo, it just seems strange to me that you would have 5 or 6 players waiting at the edge of the area in one cluster, and then you concentrate all of that effort on getting the ball to one player waiting right on the far side. And all it takes is a bad ball from Mbeumo, like we saw there, and Brentford quite easily giving it away. But chance here to win it back now, as a clearer domestic opinion doesn't go particularly far.
Yeah, and in the end, Brighton do just about manage to keep it and clear away. Nice play in midfield there by McAllister. Now it's worked into midfield by Caicedo. A bit of space out on this right-hand side. As I say that, though, the two Brighton players leave it for each other, Veltman and March. And now here come Brentford down the left-hand side with Jensen. I thought maybe he might have just tried to forry his way in towards the penalty area there, but he opted to stop and stay back, and now it's worked out onto the left, and Ben Mee, an unfamiliar forward position down this left hand side. Can he pick a decent cross out? He can pick a decent cross out, and it's an overhead acrobatic effort from Mbeumo, and it's not that far away. It would have been a fabulous goal. I have to say, the time and space afforded to Ben Mee for the cross is far too much from Brighton's point of view. Good execution of the scissor kick, but it drops wide of the post. Well,
it would have been a collect time as well. I'm sure Ben Mee doesn't get many crossing assists.
What is he doing up there?
Exactly. He's found himself in a left winger's role, and Mbeumo doesn't quite get it right. I mean, it wasn't a bad effort from Mbeumo, but he's almost caught that with the sort of bottom of his shin rather than actually with his boot, as the ball is now cleared away by Brighton. We did get word of a penalty for Arsenal against Leeds United. Not heard whether or not that penalty has been converted, but in the meantime, here come Brighton. A long ball for Solly March. Breaks into the box, plays it across towards Mitoma, and it was just a little bit too quick for the Japanese international, but he couldn't quite keep it in play. But Brighton still have a chance down the left.
Yeah, Estepina retrieves it, gives it into Caicedo, edge of the penalty area. Now McAllister on the ball, looking to probe and play here for Brighton. His low shot in is blocked pretty much on the edge of the penalty area. Might have been a foul in there, but referee allows play to continue. It's with Lewis Dunk. All the Brentford players back behind the ball just at the moment. Nice little flick there by Welbeck. Just tries to play a 1-2 with McAllister. Doesn't quite come off though, and it's cleared away by the Brentford defence. Arsenal have gone in front, Paul, so Arsenal lead Leeds by a goal. I presume it is from that penalty.
Yes, it's the returning from injury Gabriel Jesus from the penalty spot there that makes it 1-0 to Arsenal. That's off the back of Leeds actually having a couple of decent efforts from what we've been reading in that game as well. So a bit of frustration there for the visitors, but Arsenal break the deadlock in that game. Still goalless though between Palace and Leicester, and between Forest and Wolves as well.
Certainly not goalless in this one. This has been the most entertaining of the 3 p.m. games so far in the Premier League, and we might get more goals before half-time as Brighton, with Pascal Gross down the right-hand side, aim across him, but it's cleared away, and eventually Norgard tries to clear it away. He just pulled back though there as he aimed to clear it for the visitors, and the referee gives a free kick. We've got about 10 minutes to go to half-time. Off-Tube studio commentary of the Premier League on a Saturday afternoon. It's Brighton 2, Brentford 2. Just to recap the scoring and how it's gone so far. Janssen with a bullet header gave Brentford the lead in 10 minutes. Kaoru Mitoma with the equaliser on 21, a lobbed finish over the advancing goalkeeper Raya. Quickly though, Brentford went back in front 2-1, and Mbeumo to Toney with a lovely finish from the England man Toney, and then Welbeck with a header has equalised for Brighton. So that's how things have gone so far in this match in what has been a really entertaining first 35 minutes. 2-2. It was a game that I think beforehand many people expected goals, many people expected entertainment of two teams who are pushing for a top 6 finish, and sort of in some ways these two teams, Paula, they can't quite believe their luck in terms of how things have gone for them this season. You know, if you'd have said to Brentford and Brighton before a ball was kicked at the start of the Premier League season, you're going into April and you're both in with a shout of finishing the top 6, you'd have been absolutely snatching your hand off.
Well, of course, if you'd have said to Brentford that they would have achieved their 40 mark or crossed the 40-point mark even before the March international break, I think they would have said, well, that's any team from the sort of bottom 12, if you like, would accept that. Yeah. I think at the start of the season, Brighton, as I say, I've been, as allegiances aside, I've been really impressed with Brighton because they were able to carry on where sort of Graham Potter left off. A couple of slow games for Roberto De Zerbi, and since then they've actually looked a better side, and they even beat Chelsea comfortably, didn't they, at the Amex?
Yeah, I think a lot of people did think that when Potter left Brighton, then things might fall apart for them. And we have to be honest that they recruited a manager in De Zerbi that probably wasn't that well known to many people. Certainly Premier League football fans, they might have thought, who's this coming in? You know, an Italian manager, not necessarily had great records in the Premier League of late, Italian managers, and you know, he has done really, really well. He
has, and the club are very well run. They refused to sell Caicedo in January, and now he signed a new contract, making him worth that much more. They gave Alexis McAllister a new contract 2 weeks before the World Cup, which was a masterstroke when you consider how important he was for the World Cup winners in the end in Qatar. So there's certainly been some good business done at Brighton over the past few seasons, and we're seeing that now on the pitch as Brentford caught in possession. Chance here now for the home side to go forward.
Yeah, Brighton have it with Caicedo, one of those players that Paul mentioned. That I think it was Arsenal, wasn't it, who were pretty much keen to sign him, but the deal never went through. Whether teams come back in for him in the summer remains to be seen. Solly March has it on the right-hand side of the penalty area for Brighton with that left foot, comes in field, rolls it back into on the left-hand area. Here is Mitoma. Mitoma running down that left, get down towards the byline, tries to play across in. It's a decent ball. Oh, it's a catastrophe almost for Brentford at the back again. The ball pinging around. It could have gone anywhere, Paul, but in the end, Raya is able to get it.
He is. I mean, it starts off with Caicedo at the edge of the area, finds Mitoma, breaks into the box, gets past the Norgard far too easily, and then the ball is played in towards Welbeck. It deflects back out towards, I think it was Mitoma, and Raya just falls on the ball because he just happens to be there. He didn't know too much about it. But David Raya will be delighted there because that could have very easily been 3-2.
It could have deflected in off Welbeck. If the angle of the ball, the spin of the ball was different, it would have gone in off Welbeck. He wouldn't have known too much about it, but it would have been a third goal for Brighton and a second for Welbeck. But as it was, it kind of spun, fortunately for Brentford, back into the hands of Raya. I haven't been impressed with Brentford's defending in this match so far.
Brentford aren't, as I say, for all their organisational skills and everything else, they're not a particularly good side defensively when they're sort of put under this kind of pressure, and Brighton are seeing that time and again. Just to tell you that it was Brennan Johnson that's given Nottingham Forest the lead against Wolves. Big goal that for Forest, who at one stage looked to be written off in terms of all these new signings and things going wrong for them on the pitch, but they've come back since the World Cup and looked a much stronger side as well.
Yeah, they have. They put some runs together. I think it's been mentioned a few times this week. I've seen on Twitter and the like that at the bottom of the Premier League, in the bottom of the table, it's almost as tight as it's been for a long, long time. And there are teams sort of from about 11th downwards who are still very much in at the
start of play. Crystal Palace in 12th place on 27, and then Southampton bottom of the league on 23.
So 4 or 5 points separating
eight places in the league.
So, it just shows, doesn't it, just how tight it is. And I think there's going to be twists and turns and teams getting involved. What obviously teams don't want is a run of bad defeats, but equally a couple of wins and you can get you clear of it, as is always the case. It almost has a feel of like the Championship, doesn't it? That sort of competitive
where almost everyone could beat everyone every week kind of thing, which is great, of course. It makes it a lot more entertaining. As Brentford giving a free kick away there, Norgard he didn't catch McAllister too much, but as he was turning, he was caught there by the Dane, so this does give Brighton a chance with a free kick around 40 yards out. Yeah,
I think it was a foul, but it wasn't too much in it, Paul. I think you're right that there was a little bit of contact. McAllister, though, goes down, as you would expect, as modern Premier League players, they will go down from in that sort of a situation. This does look like a shooting opportunity. It's actually quite a bit far out, though. I would say it's a good 25 yards, but it is a shooting opportunity for someone like McAllister. Maybe it looks almost like Lewis Dunk, the centre-back, is fancying this one as well. He's the man who's spotted the ball down and is taking the steps back. He would be a little bit of an unlikely man to strike it for me, but you never know. There's about 5 minutes to go to half-time. McAllister's there as well, as is March, but it is going to be Dunk who goes for the effort. He tries to almost hit through the ball, like in that sort of Ronaldo style that we used to see him do it, and he try and strike through it and bounce it into the ground a little bit, but it was easy enough for the goalkeeper in the end.
It was. I mean, if he just gets a bit more of a rotation on the ball and actually gets that ball to really bounce just in front of Raya with a bit more pace, then it could have caused the Brentford keeper. But as it is, it was always sort of bouncing into Raya, so you always felt as though he would be able to make the save.
We've barely had time to draw breath in this match. I wouldn't say necessarily it's been one of those games where you'd say that the quality has been fantastically high. There have been some good goals, but just as it was there, Brentford just giving the ball away. There's been quite a lot of mistakes, poor defending, but that makes for a really entertaining game. And here's Welbeck for Brighton. He aims a shot just from outside the penalty area. It's blocked by a combination of me and Norgard, I think it was, and it rolls out of play for a Brighton corner. Welbeck with I don't think it was going to be an opportunity, a shot that was going to cause the goalkeeper too many problems, but the deflection has worked in Brighton's favour to give them a corner. 4 minutes to go to half-time.
That was all from Brentford having what seemed like fairly comfortable possession in midfield as well. Just gave the ball away, and 2 passes later, Brighton win a free kick, which they've taken short.
Yeah, they take it short between March and Gross, and it's Gross who doesn't play across, and he happens to go back out to Caicedo, and now Mitoma on the left-hand side. There's 2 or 3 Brighton players in front of him. Mitoma comes in on his right foot, aims a low crossing. The first header's missed. Again, not great defending this by Brentford. Eventually they're able to just clear it away, and then on that right-hand side, I think it's Rico Henry, who was maybe slightly out of position, who got there first to just put the ball out of play. It'll be a Brighton throw-in, level with the edge of the penalty area on the left-hand side for the home side, and Caicedo goes back to McAllister. McAllister then back to Levi Colwill, a man on loan from Chelsea at Brighton. He's having a quietly good season for the Seagulls. And now it's with Lewis Duncan. For about the first time in 4 or 5 minutes, the game has just slowed down, and we've got a little bit of like what I would say is a bit more normal, like Premier League play, where the 2 centre-backs are exchanging passes, and we've got we haven't seen that in this game. It's been all helter-skelter mistakes.
It has. I think both teams, Brighton especially, have sensed that Brentford are here for the taking defensively, and Brentford, for the limited amount of times they've got forward, they've looked dangerous on a few occasions as well. But it really has been Brighton, I think, who will feel frustrated if they go in at half-time not leading this game, because they'll feel as though they've done enough. Even though the 2 goals they've conceded have been a bit poor defensively, they've had enough attacking possession from their point of view to be in front, I think.
The last stat we saw when they flashed up possession, it was 70-30 in favour of Brighton. Now, Brentford have looked dangerous when they have come forward themselves at times, but that just shows you how much that Brighton have had the ball and have tried to be in control of the game. As a long ball aimed forward there towards where Welbeck was is well read on this occasion by Raya, who comes out and clears it away. It's now in the centre circle with McAllister. McAllister short to Caicedo, and now Mitoma on the left for the home side. He's got a couple of Brentford players in front of him, so he opts to go back. And now midfield again here is Caicedo, short to Dunk. And again, just the pace of the game over the last few minutes, for the first time in the match, is just beginning to slow. But now Brighton will try and raise it again here with McAllister, who does well to shake off one challenge. The shot will come in from him, curled effort. I think it was destined for the far corner until a good hand from Raya is able to turn it away. Good effort from McAllister, good save.
Yeah, well, Raya's straight up on his feet, but he's not picking up any plaudits. He's straight away remonstrating with his defenders that they need to do a bit more to actually stop the shot coming in the first place. I mean, it's great play from McAllister. He's not a tall player, so he's able to really spin away and get away from players trying to stop him. It is a great save from Raya, because I agree with you. I think that was definitely going on target, and it's going to be a corner for Brighton from Pascal Gross.
I think it's their 6th already, Brighton, as the corner is in from Gross. Oh, it's a free header. Should have been 3-2. Oh, he rises well. Colwell Well,
he's got to do better there, Colwell, as he's jumped. I mean, he's got himself into the right position, but in fairness, no Brentford player is jumping at the same height that he is. He's almost used Lewis Dunk as a sort of ladder there, which I suppose you couldn't get done for fouling your own teammate there. He's climbing up on Lewis Dunk, and that almost worked for him as well.
Yeah, it was just over the bar. It's one of them that didn't do an awful lot wrong, really. It was a good header. He rose well, good ball in. And it just goes over the bar. We see a stat now flash up of the attempts that we've seen in this game so far. Brighton with 13, Brentford with 5. That shows you just how much of an entertaining...
18 efforts in the first half. And it's 6-3 as far as efforts on target goes. 6 efforts for Brighton, 3 for Brentford. So Brentford, considering they've got 2 goals out of their 3 efforts, I think they'll be very happy with that.
Yeah, I have to say it's one of the most entertaining first 45 minutes of Premier League football I've seen in a while. And what goes allied with that is that the defending hasn't been great. And actually, like I've said a few times, the overall play from the two sides hasn't been brilliant. There's been quite a few mistakes, misplaced passes, stuff like that. But, it's been a real good watch. And it is 2-2 with 3 minutes of stoppage time being signalled by the officials.
3 minutes is the bare minimum. You think that you probably lose a minute every time a goal's been scored. We've already seen 4 of them. We've had a couple of injuries as well, so I think 3 minutes would be about right. What is Raya doing there?
Terrible
he clears the ball
out.
straight into midfield.
Terrible ball out to Raya and by Raya. And here's Brighton going forward. They work it to Solly March, and then in the end, his left-footed effort, it's a weak one that the goalkeeper was able to redeem himself and dive on. But what a terrible clearance.
I mean, he plays that straight down the middle, right? It's almost like he's asking for another attack there from Brighton. And I think Brentford get lucky there because Solly March is all left foot. He doesn't use his right foot for anything, really. He's all left foot, and it's such a tame effort with his left foot there.
Yeah, he was in a good position as well, wasn't he? And you expected a little bit better from him there, there's no doubt. The goalkeeper was able to gladly claim the ball after his initial poor clearance. I mean, that kind of sums up the match a little bit, doesn't it? In that it was a real poor clearance from the goalkeeper, mistake, and then good attacking play. And maybe in the end, the finish hasn't been in keeping with what we've seen so far. But we still have chance for another goal here towards the end of this first half because Brighton come forward again. In the end, though, the ball bounces off Welbeck, and Brentford should be able to clear with Ben Mee, who is able to launch it long downfield. And even though Ivan Toney has got a goal and Mbeumo set him up for it, we've barely really seen them, have we? There's
been very little sort of attacking possession for Brentford really throughout the whole 45 minutes. The spells where the amount of time that Brighton have spent around Brentford's box, creating chances, getting corners, Brentford haven't really had that kind of possession at all in the first half.
No, and we've played a minute and a half of the 3 minutes of stoppage time at the end of this first half. Brighton 2, Brentford 2. In a really, really entertaining first 45 minutes so far. Elsewhere in the Premier League, Arsenal lead Leeds by a goal to 0, the leaders. It's Bournemouth 0, Fulham 1. Palace 0, Leicester 0 in Roy Hodgson's first game back in charge of Crystal Palace, and it's Nottingham Forest 1, Wolves 0. The late game, Chelsea Villa. The only match was Manchester City 4, Liverpool 1. Referee Michael Oliver just asking the Brentford goalkeeper here, Raya, to get on with it, I think, because he was taking his time with this free kick that eventually he does launch long downfield, aimed up towards Ivan Toney. It's cleared away by the Brighton defence. One in midfield one at the back there by Janssen, who's venturing into midfield. His header forward is not picked up by anyone in a black shirt, but then Brighton win it back, but then they give it away. And now here come Brentford with a cross in from the right-hand side by Toney. It's picked up on the left-hand side, and the ball will be delivered in here by Mbeumo. Cleared away just about, though, by the Brighton defence. Just for a second there, I thought that was going to cause the Brighton backline a few problems. And that must be a foul just on the inside the penalty area by Mbeumo, and it is, even though he protests. I think he did catch the Brighton defender.
Yeah, I think it's one of them where there's not much contact, but there's enough. I think in those situations the referee would say that he's probably done a little bit too much. Then that probably will be the last kick of the first half as well. Yeah,
3 minutes of stoppage time has been signalled, and the managers make their way down the tunnel. It is half time. What an entertaining half! Plenty for the managers to work on at half time at the Amex. It's Brighton 2, Brentford 2.